Hello everybody, welcome back. So we're gonna do about 30 minutes worth of work tonight. I believe we finished Tsukihime Nanaya. So we just passed the halfway point because there's 11 sections. So we're getting there. So let's go over this again. I believe the next section is the identity he never had. Let me just confirm it. Yes, it is. So we'll go from there. So this becomes even stranger when Tatsuri joins the mix because now a version of Nanaya exists outside of Tohno. The Nanaya that appears in Melty but isn't the dormant Nanaya within Tohno escaping his body. He is a manifestation created by the Nanaya Wallachia. As a reminder, Tatsuri is a phenomenon that is based on rumors. It will manifest a rumor depending on the specific context of said rumor. Give me a second. Here we go. Sorry about that. Which usually includes the fear and rumor circulating through the populace. For example, if there is a rumor of a killer stalking the streets at night with a knife, then there's a high chance that Nanaya will appear. As mentioned, the clear distinction between Nanaya and Tsukihime Nanaya is that if Tsukihime Nanaya is defeated, it doesn't mean the Nanaya buried within Tohno has been destroyed. That's gonna be a pain in the ass to read, so I'm actually switch that later. They exist as two separate beings. Tatsuri is essentially taking an idea that already exists in people's mind and giving it a body. People's minds. Turning the rumor and allowing it to. We're gonna fix this. Tatsuri is essentially taking an idea that already exists in people's minds and giving it a body. We'll just make this a new sentence. Turning that rumor into a reality. So, as usual, just because I'm writing something, it doesn't mean it's always gonna stay in there. Like, we do a lot of revisions with these narratives. Alright, so we're gonna read that whole entire section again. Tatsuri is essentially taking an idea that already exists in people's minds and giving it a body, turning that rumor into a reality. In a sense, this is appropriate for Nanaya because it means that even a single image of him can be real without Tohno having to become him. This is where the Nasuverse starts doing what the Nasuverse does best. Nanaya stops being just a what if and becomes a reality, a path that Child Shiki could have taken if that night never happened. Tatsuri Nanaya's existence becomes another example of how in this world, an identity doesn't need a conventional body or history to have consequences. To sum it up, if enough people believe in something, then that belief can become real enough to kill you. And that's what makes Tatsuri Nanaya interesting. He isn't proof that the Nanaya within Tohno has taken over. He's proof that Nanaya can exist as a separate person from Tohno. Fair enough? We're fine with that? We're fine with that. So, let's get on to section 6, which is going to be the identity he never had. So when I think of Shiki Nanaya, I think of a tragic character because Tohno is living his life while that dormant Nanaya persona is just there, just dormant. And to be honest, that's pretty tragic in my honest opinion. I could be wrong, but again, it's the interwebs. We're all allowed to have opinions at the end of the day. Also, as usual, don't drink unless you're my age. There's a new flavor of soju that I've been dying to try out. This one's deadly. This one's lychee flavor. Like, I'm gonna die. Don't drink unless you're my age, though. Cherish your livers. Okay. So when I think of Shiki Nanaya, I definitely think of somebody tragic. Just because he doesn't live a life. Like, he's quite literally the dormant persona within somebody else. So that person gets to live the life while he remains dormant. Okay. I do hate about this. Give me a second. Here we go. I think of Nanaya. No, actually. When I think of tragedy, think of someone losing something. If I can give another example, before I even continue, if I can give another example of a tragic character, think of Mordred. You gotta really feel bad for Mordred, being, first of all, how she was concepted, how she was pretty much made Morgan Le Fay uttering Saber. Saber quite literally not acknowledging her. How's my phone? And damn it, I should answer that, but I'm not gonna answer that right now. Saber not acknowledging her, all that shit that went down, and Saber taking her out. So Mordred's life is a complete and utter travesty. That's when I think of something. It was something tragic. Someone losing something. Mordred, to be honest, lived a very... She lost a lot of things in her brief period alive. Oh my god. Give me a second. Let me just make sure there's nothing stupid. Even though I'm on duty, off duty, I'm always on duty. Hold on. Yeah, my phone's pumping right now. Not important. So again, Morta's life is very tragic. Short, filled with trauma, filled with neglect. It's a notice me, mom, dad. No, you're the devil. Like, fuck you. Excuse my French. But yeah, but that's when I think of tragedy. I usually think of someone losing something. Okay. So we'll be specific. A person, a relationship. CL is a very tragic character because of how she is, because of Roa. Because remember how their gimmick works. She can't die if Roa's alive. And look what happened. The church tried numerous ways to kill her. Will not work. Lumina's weird. Lumina is very weird because we have characters that are dead, Roa, that are back again. So CL's immortal again. Person, a relationship. Person, a relationship. And maybe... Ooh, and maybe a future they imagine for themselves. Saber Lily. Remember how Saber Lily was? I did a video on her a while ago. She thought she was gonna change Camelot. Well, we saw how Saber's life ended up after the fact. In the future they imagine for themselves. Another tragic character in this verse, Kohaku. Kohaku Nisui's childhood. A lot of shit that happened. A lot of stuff. The end result was Hisui giving Kohaku her personality and Kisui becoming the person she is right now. Okay. When I think of tragedy, I usually think of someone losing something, a person, a relationship, in the future that they imagine for themselves. The fact that they're selling these for $3 is kind of wild. It's just dangerous because this is like 13% alcohol right now. Alright, for themselves. So now we should describe Nanaya. Again, his is a weird case. It's different for him, sort of. Nanaya. 10 minutes? Alright. Tomorrow, I will be able to stream this, but unfortunately for the next 3 days, I am going to be doing some OJT training. So from 12 p.m. to 7 p.m., which is around this time, I will be working. So the streams will be a lot later for the next 3 days. Thursday, I have to move my room again. Even after I set this up, it's been like, but whatever. Anyways, it's going to be a busy couple of days, but I'll still be able to stream, but not at the same time. So Nanya's a bit different. Nanya is different. His is different because he never got to he never got to have anything. Yeah, he never got to have anything. There's a part of a tragedy. There is a part of his tragedy. There's a part of his tragedy comes from something he never got because he never got anything. Yeah, because Tohno's because it's always to be Shiki Tohno as the dominant. Well, not the dominant one, but the one's always in what's the word? Tohno's the default. There we go. Tohno's the default character. All right. So we don't know what Nanaya. We don't know what Nanaya would have been. We don't know who Nanaya. We don't know who Child Shiki would have become if the massacre never happened. Because remember, the only reason why we have Shiki Tohno, is because this event happened. If it never happened, we wouldn't have known. We just know I'm kind of pushing it a little bit with this. I want to write this, but I don't know whether I should. Alright, we're gonna do it. This is... I normally don't do this, but we can assume he at least learned the fundamentals. Fundamentals is a very toxic word if you're in the FGC. Very toxic word. I remember. God, who had low ass health in Melty? Oh, Nanaya himself. Nanaya and Ryogi. Yeah, you gotta learn those. You gotta learn those Nanaya and Ryogi fundamentals. Oh, that's all fun and dandy. But if I fuck it up, I'm dead. Good times, good times. One drop combo and it's like, oh shit, there goes my health. What did Ryogi say? Nande Shikaku. Oh my god, so many times. But yeah, like if you didn't know fundamentals of the knife guys, good luck. Well, besides Tohno, but yeah, good luck. Nanaya's health is like, ugh. All right, this is definitely. I'm kind of pushing to go with the science though. So let's read what we got so far. When I think of tragedy, I usually think of someone losing something, a person, a relationship, in the future that they imagine for themselves. Nanaya is different because there's part of his tragedy that comes from something he never got. We don't know who Child Shiki would have become if the massacre never happened. We just know he was at least given the fundamentals of his family's teachings. Yeah, I'm fine with that. If nobody else is fine with that, we'll fight in the comments. Because again, we see how Tohno fights. We see how Nanaya fights. That's not some Shiro Emiya backyard school brawling. That's actually straight up like moves that you have to train. Because we all know Shiro Emiya would probably have been a bully. Fuck that guy. But no. The moves that Nanaya and Tohno do, it's like that seems like it's at least based off of some form of training. Like Satsuki just punching the shit out of people and just like grabbing people with that big ass hitbox from her grab. I gotta be careful because if I keep on yapping about the good old days and Melty Blood, will be here forever. So I'll stop now. We just know he was at least given the fundamentals of his family's training. There's more we can do here. There isn't really much about anything about what he could have become. I totally fucked this spelling up. There isn't really much. There isn't really Nanaya growing into adulthood. That's it. You just get Tohno. All roads, well, again, massacre happens. We get the Tohno route. There is and for this video, I'm not gonna be brutally honest. I'm just gonna be playing F Nanaya for the background footage. I have no shame. I will be degenerate. Wadiness for days. Wadine into 2A. That. Does all F Nanaya share one brain cell? It usually revolves around some random ass Wadine that just connects off of bullshit. And the sad thing is, I openly admit I have no damn shame because I wouldn't say I mained HV Xion back in the day. It was just a hard counterpick to people playing HV Xion. You know what? If you want to be toxic, I can be toxic just as well. You want to play HV Xion? I will play this bitch. Let's go. You know, as we know, her dive kick was kind of like bonkers. There isn't really an Nanaya growing into adulthood that we can look back into. We could look back upon and wonder what he would have been. Yeah. Now we could look back on and wonder how his life would have turned out. And wonder how his life would turn out. There isn't really a Nanaya growing up into adulthood that we can look back and wonder how his life would turn out. In a sense. His life was cut short before he even got a chance to begin. Cut off before any of that. Alright, let's just read this one more time. When I think of tragedy, I usually think of someone losing something, a person, a relationship, in the future that they may imagine for themselves. Nanaya is different because there's a part of his tragedy that comes from something he never got. We don't know who Child Shiki would have become if that massacre never happened. We just know he was at least given the fundamentals of his family's teachings. There isn't really a Nanaya growing into adulthood that we could look back and wonder how his life would turn out. In a sense, his life was cut off before any of that could happen. I like it. Damn, time is already flying by. Because again, Tohno is the default. Tohno. I'm gonna be cheeky. Tohno is the default character. Speaking of that, I really probably should do more Fate. I like doing Fate, but I gotta make sure my knowledge is up to date because I have Fate, Unlimited Blade Works, Heaven's Feel, and a couple of other knowledge. I stopped following Fate for years because it was just getting too much and IRL was catching up on me, but Fate just got so massive in regards to lore. Like I familiarized myself with lore, but There's a lot of shit happening in Fate these days. A lot of shit. That's why I tend to focus more on Tsukihime, Melty Blood, Karo no Kyokai to an extent. When it comes to Fate, I just pick characters that I know 100% I am knowledgeable in. If I do pick somebody, I have to do at least months worth of research. That's why I haven't really been doing that much Fate lately. Like we did a Bazette video a couple months ago. I know Bazette. Bazette's hype, so that was fine. I'm gonna start drinking now. It's that's dangerous. So Tohno is the default character. I don't want to go that much detail. I don't think Tohno is the default character. He lives his life. Lives his life. Lives his life. He lives his life. No. We'll do... He lives his life as a normal... We'll repeat ourselves as a somewhat normal person. I know I repeated myself, but it's fine. Life experience. He gets those years that Nanya never had. He gets those years that Nanya never got. This is what's tragic. Shiki Tohno lives the life. Nanya does not, unless shit happens. Let's do a few more minutes. He gets to live those years. Nanya gets. I don't want to get too dramatic with this, but it's pretty straightforward. Tohno is, at the end of the day, the default character. But more, what else can we do here? There's a lot more we can do, but again, I just don't want this to... I don't want this to go more so on a Tohno tangent. Son of a bitch. Alright. Let's do a few more minutes because I definitely should probably see what work wants me to do. So, Tohno gradually gets an identity. Outside the identity he was born with. Tohno gradually gets an identity outside the identity he was born with. Okay, I'm fine with that. So, again, in contrast to Nanya's side, which he doesn't. The Nanya side... doesn't disappear because of this. Because of this. Because at the end of the day, it's always gonna be there. still there. He's still there. Buried beneath everything else. Buried beneath everything else. Comes out when needed. So, when needed. So, I don't think we need to add more to this. This is, again, pretty straightforward. But just in case, let's reread what we got. Then we'll start wrapping it up because I need to probably see what... There's a lot of text messages happening right behind me, so some shit's probably going down. Alright. When I think of tragedy, I usually think of someone losing something, a person, a relationship, and the future that they imagine for themselves. Nanaya is different because there's a part of his tragedy that comes from something he never got. We don't know who Child Shiki would have become if that massacre never happened. We just know he was at least given the fundamentals of his family's teachings. There isn't really a Nanaya growing into adulthood that we can look back and wonder how his life would have turned out. In a sense, his life was cut off before any of that could happen. In a sense, his life was cut off before any of that can happen. Tohno is the default character. He lives as a somewhat normal person and gains life experience. He gets to live those years that Nanaya never gets. Tohno gradually gets an identity outside the identity he was born with. The Nanaya side doesn't disappear because of this. He's still there, buried beneath everything else, and comes out when needed. I like that. I do like that. Okay, so good stuff. Unfortunately, I do have to go check what the hell's going on with work because I'm receiving a lot of text messages behind me. So tomorrow we'll be streaming again. It's just gonna be at a little later time because I gotta do OJT training. But besides that, enjoy the VOD. We're getting to the conclusion of this. We're about halfway, so stand by. I'm looking for at least a September Labor Day release of this. All right, enjoy your rest of your day, everybody. Enjoy the VOD, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow. Bye bye.